Hello and welcome to the news from Bahrain International. I am Aisha Ibrahim. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, met with a number of officers of the Bahrain Armed Forces and officers from the UAE Armed Forces on the occasion of the Gulf Cooperation Council's 42nd anniversary, which falls on May 25th. His Majesty the King congratulated their Majesties and Highnesses, the leaders of GCC countries, the armed forces, and all GCC citizens. His Majesty the King wished the GCC countries and their people more achievement, progress, and prosperity. Today marks the 42nd anniversary of the founding of the Cooperation Council for the Arab States of the Gulf, the most prominent and successful political, economic, social, and cultural system, and the strongest regional gathering of the Arab Gulf states. More in this report.
On May 25, 1981, the establishment of the Gulf Cooperation Council was announced in Riyadh. On the same day, the leaders of the UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, and Kuwait, in a meeting held in Abu Dhabi, reached a cooperative formula that includes the 6 countries, which aims to achieve coordination, integration, and interdependence between their countries in all fields. This announcement came after a number of preparatory meetings held by the foreign ministers of the 6 Gulf states in Riyadh on February 4, 1981, where they signed a document declaring the establishment of the Cooperation Council for the Arab States of the Gulf. The idea of establishing the council came as a result of the keenness of the GCC leaders for the need of coordination and integration among them. Political observers described it as the most important political system announced in the Arab world in the second half of the 20th century. The council was able to unify its positions on many regional and international issues and succeeded in preserving Gulf interests. The efforts to implement development plans in the GCC countries are moving forward to achieve the goals of the comprehensive and sustainable development, which are based on their citizens as the pillar of development, whose advanced indicators globally reflected the economic status of the countries and became a pioneering model at the regional and global levels.
The GCC system receives support from His Majesty the King, who always affirms in his speeches Bahrain's full support for all that is in the interest of the GCC states. More in this report.
The Kingdom of Bahrain, during its presidency of the 41st GCC Summit, was keen on following up on the implementation of the Joint Work Agenda, thus achieving many important steps that are in the interest of the Council, which contributes to advancing its march. The prosperous reign of His Majesty the King witnessed a boost in GCC cooperation, which was an impetus by His Majesty, who always praises the GCC's many achievements and gains in all fields since its establishment, and his speeches in various forums always affirmed the Kingdom's full support for all that is in the interest of the GCC. The visits of the leaders of the GCC countries to Bahrain are an indication of the extent to which the unity of the One Gulf home is well established at all levels in Bahrain, which is confirmed in His Majesty the King's speeches, stressing the importance of the GCC system.
The Speaker of the Representatives Council, Ahmed Al-Msallam, affirmed that Bahrain, under the leadership of His Majesty the King, firmly believes in the importance of the GCC role and its continuous contributions for the benefit of the GCC countries and peoples. He stressed the Council of Representatives' keenness to strengthen joint GCC work as one of the priorities of the Parliament to achieve the objectives of the GCC Council of further progress, security and stability in the region. The chairman of the Shura Council, Ali Al-Saleh, praised the GCC's efforts to achieve further progress in all sectors and ensure the stability and security of its member states, and stressed the Council's accomplishments in developing the region's economic, social, political and military action. He hailed the continuous support of the Council's leaders to strengthen cooperation between GCC countries. The GCC countries follow the approach of cooperation and unity of vision towards various issues of the region and the world in a manner that serves the common interests of the member states. Joint military action is also supported by GCC leaders since the establishment of the Council, based on a firm conviction in the unity of purpose and destiny. More in this report.
Based on the GCC countries' common characteristics and defense policy, which stem from the integrated collective security, GCC countries have initiated the first steps to establish a joint defense system aimed at providing security for its states, defending their independence, and protecting their capabilities and gains. Over the past years, Gulf states have worked to unite their forces with the aim of providing strategic and operational leadership for all the tasks of the GCC countries in all fields. In the first meeting of the GCC Chiefs of Staff of the Armed Forces in Riyadh in 1981 to discuss military cooperation, a number of recommendations were put forward to build and strengthen military cooperation among the GCC armed forces. Over 4 decades, many studies, systems and strategies were approved that included joint military action. The Joint Peninsula Shield Forces represent the most prominent areas of defense cooperation between GCC states that were established in 1982 with the aim of protecting the security of the GCC member states and deterring any military aggression.
In implementation of the directives of the first Deputy Chairman of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports, Chairman of the General Sports Authority and President of Bahrain Olympic Committee BOC, His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, BOC signed a cooperation agreement with the Royal Medical Services, which aims to enhance cooperation between the two sides and offer more medical services to athletes. The agreement was signed by the acting commander of the Royal Medical Services for BDF Hospitals, Brigadier General Sheikh Dr. Fahad bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, and BOC Secretary General Faris Al Kohiji. Dr. Fahad bin Khalifa expressed thanks and appreciation to His Highness Sheikh Khalid for his directives to sign the agreement, expressing pleasure in increasing cooperation between the Royal Medical Services and the sports sector, which will benefit Bahraini sports and national teams. For his part, Al-Kohiji affirmed the importance of the agreement, which comes within the framework of His Highness's keenness to support national team players and provide the best medical care. He also affirmed that the agreement will contribute to developing the services offered by the National Sports Medicine Center. The executive and legislative authorities continue their joint meetings to discuss the draft law approving the State General Budget 2023 to 2024. The meeting was headed by the Representatives Council Speaker Ahmed Al-Msalem, the Shura Council Chairman Ali Al-Saleh, the Minister of Finance and National Economy Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa. During the meeting, the continuation of cooperation between the executive and legislative authorities was emphasized to reach consensus and joint perception regarding the general budget. The meeting also reviewed the visions of the legislative authorities members on the draft law, clarifications were provided, and inquiries were answered. Also, the meeting affirmed that the citizens are the priority on which plans and programs are developed, and it highlighted the importance of continuing coordination efforts to reach consensus on the state general budget. The Minister of Health Jalila Hassan met her Omani counterpart Dr. Hilal Estebti on the sidelines of the 75th World Health Assembly (WHA) held in Geneva. Dr. Hassan stressed the importance of strengthening joint cooperation relations between Bahrain and Oman in various fields. She commended the efforts aimed at developing and improving the performance of health systems and raising their efficiency in a sustainable manner. During the meeting, the two ministers discussed key issues of common interest, focusing on regional and internal health development. The Omani minister stressed the importance of strengthening the continuous cooperation between the two countries, especially with regard to the health sector. The Minister of Industry and Commerce, Abdullah Adel Fakhro, inaugurated the first edition of the SMEs Development Exhibition, Omani Bahraini Products, organized in coordination between the two countries' embassies in cooperation with the Omani Bahraini Friendship Society. Fakhro stressed the depth of the historical relations between the two countries and affirmed Bahrain's keenness to enhance existing investment opportunities and build more partnerships to achieve development goals by adopting many programs and initiatives that support the national economy. The minister and the attendees toured the exhibition and listened to a detailed explanation from the chairman of the Bahrain SMEs Development Society, Ahmed Al-Salloum, on the importance and expected gains of the exhibition, which hosts over 32 entrepreneurs. Jordanians celebrate the 77th anniversary of the independence of Jordan, which is an opportunity to celebrate the achievements of independence and affirm unity and cohesion among citizens. The streets of the Jordanian capital were decorated with the flag of the kingdom and pictures of the Jordanian monarch. Citizens also hung flags on the walls of their houses and cars as an expression of belonging to the Independence Day. National marches are organized in various regions of Jordan, carrying national flags and wearing traditional clothes to gather in a festive atmosphere to express their love for their country and its wise leadership.